Hey guys, and welcome to an epic showdown between two warrior legends of old. It's going to be an absolutely hog-wild game. On the left we have Captain Morgan, and on the right we have Aimer, as it is the Wood Elves taking on the Warriors of Chaos. Now I know what you're expecting when you clicked on this video with the title involving full cav builds and the Wood Elves and the Chaos. 99% of you, I would reckon, were thinking, okay, the Wood Elves will be the ones bringing those Wild Riders, Great Stag Knights and Skirmish Cav to the battlefield today, because that's something we've seen even before the Cav Beta, that full Wood Elf Cavalry builds are certainly viable, but no siree, not today. We're coming in with the rock and roll, bad to the bones, full Cavalry and Doggo Warriors of Chaos build. And we're actually going to dissect their build first, because it is so gangster. We have Chaos Knights with Lances mixed in with basic Chaos Knights, all in the front line here, looking heroic and awesome as always. In fact, the Chaos Knights are in the main front line, and the Lances on the flanks. Now, the Lances can't go in sustained combat for quite as long as their sword and shield brothers here, but they have a huge charge bonus and can really do some glorious hit and run tactics. So I like having them on the wings, working as more traditional cavalry, as the front line is replaced here by the relatively stable 120 armor Chaos Knights. Up in the sky, of course, we do have a pet Chaos Pharaoh Manticore coming to the battlefield. And he's going to be magically tethered today to the Everwatcher, the great Duck of Madness himself. And he's coming in with Plague of Rust as well as Searing Doom. So some nice cool spells. No Final Transmutation today. He's instead looking to bring the pain in other ways necessary. Over on the flanks, we do have some Chaos Warhounds. It looks like one basic and one with poison. And on this side, we have triple Warhounds. Again, one basic, and this time, though, two with poison. Now, the Wood Elf force is looking a little bit thin on the ground, which could be very problematic for them, because half their build is here, and half their build is the other side of the map. Not good news when you're up against mass cavalry, having your force split in twain. We do have Eternal Guard, 1, 2, 3, 4, dotted along the front line. We also have the Loex Trixers in the back, who could be a saving grace here. One of the most beautiful looking models in the entire game. These ladies will flip, twirl, and use their staffs of death to cut out your heart. They can do some really good damage, coming with that anti-large, and their job today is to protect these Glade Guard with Starfire shafts, of which there are 4. Big problems for them, though, is the majority of the Wood Elf build, or at least the heavy hitters, are in a vanguard position, maybe suspecting the possibility of a Hell Cannon. It looks like we have double Wild Riders in right back here in the back of the map in a vanguard position, as well as the Wardens of Sifrol, aka the Wildwood Rangers Regiment of Renown, looking awesome as always. Their kind of beige colour scheme, or like, I don't even know what to call it, like orangey beige, mixing with a bit of yellow. We're going to combine all of those together to make this glorious colour. These guys come in with that anti-large armor piercing, which is particularly useful, with Branch Wraith next to them, with Earthblood and the Mighty Durf, with Flock of Doom and Sword of Daith, who is currently hidden because apparently he looks like just one of these trees. That's one of my favourite mechanics actually from Treeman, from the fact that they can be hidden amongst wooded terrain. Without further ado, let's get this battle underway, as the forces are about to clash, and the Knights are thundering across the battlefield. They too take a massive volley of arrows to the face. If I was Captain Morgan right now, I'd be panicking, because the Knights, beautiful change of formation, is actually going to allow them to pass through the spear wall and directly onto the back here, onto the Glade Guard. Lovely play, a bit of micro there by the Warriors of Chaos player, and here's darting down. 2 of the Glade Guard are being run over. The 3rd unit is being surrounded by Chaos Warhounds, and the Eternal Guard are simply no match for the thunderous charge of the Chaos Knights. The Everwatcher can push in here as well. And this can be a big problem, of course, if you're starting to get all your backline units run over. It looks like Captain Morgan is trying to protect all of his Glade Guard. In reality, he probably should have sacrificed a couple and formed a shield wall around maybe 1 or 2 of them just to try to keep them alive. But, I mean, it's a split-second decision right now. Loex Tricksters are one of the saving graces here in the back line. They are chewing their way through those Chaos Knights, dragging down the heavily armoured madmen down into the dirt where they belong. And it looks like they're, negative 58 leadership. Not gone too well for them. They, in fact, shatter. Wild Riders have managed to rally to the battle cries of their fallen brethren here. And they come with a lovely charge onto the Chaos Warhounds, actually breaking them. But a Searing Doom is going to be their prize. And they take a load of damage for that. My god, that's a very powerful Searing Doom. Luckily, they are able to shatter the Chaos Warhounds. War Dancers are pushing forward now, aiming at the Everwatcher. Might be worth them falling back to Durfu as well as the Wardens. That's quite a long way away. Durfu is not the fastest bunny in the book. Now, the Wild Riders are desperately trying to avoid the Chaos Knights, which is a good play. Those heavily armoured Knights will be a big pain for the Wild Riders to deal with. They need to hop on top of the Warhounds and other units, or come in with some lovely rear attacks where these Eternal Guard can pin the enemy in place as well. We do see the Lux Tricksters standing firm at the moment, and they're up against Warhounds, which isn't a fantastic target for them. They still will be able to chew through them, and then they can surround the Everwatcher and really bring those claws out and do some massive damage. It looks like some Eternal Guard have in fact rallied, which is a miracle. Beautiful play by Cat Morgan, getting these guys back online once more. But the Chaos Warhounds are bounding across the battlefield, and I don't think there's any way the Wild Riders are going to be able to reposition themselves over here in time. We are going to get an Overcast Searing Doom come down on the Eternal Guard and the Lux Tricksters, and that does horrendous amounts of damage. Oh no! That almost killed these units. Eternal Guard are currently terrified. Lux Tricksters do have the Storm of Blades active right now, so their melee attack is up to 62, and they're doing some glorious work there onto the Everwatcher. Eternal Guard are unfortunately breaking. Chaos Knights are rallying back to the final confrontation up here on the high ground. But Durthu is untouched, which is really good news from him. We do see a Sword of Daith go down on the Chaos Knights. They're able to pull away though, so that negative armor is not going to have too much effect. But they do, of course, take considerable damage at the same time. And the Wardens are still alive with their anti-large. Them saturated on top of Durthu could be very problematic for the Warriors of Chaos. Wild Riders are going to clatter into some Warhounds. We have more Warhounds, though, charging into their rear. Now, the Wild Riders should still probably win this, just due to the fact they're going to be able to break the Warhounds very quickly. But what's that coming over the hill? It is a load of heavily armoured Chaos Knights, so the Wild Riders are trying to pull away and break off this unit of Chaos Warhounds rather than eat that charge. Unfortunately, a few of their models, they're poisoned, they're getting stuck on the doggos, and they do get lanced down where they stand. We have some 10 Wild Riders left over here, desperately going in a rather heroic confrontation, outnumbered nearly 4-1 up against the Chaos Knights. They decide to fall back. Durthu bellowing a battle cry to rally the troops once more. Now, the Warriors of Chaos players doing exactly what he should do in this situation. Chase off all these weakened, beat-up units, get them off the battlefield, don't allow them to rally to the king, which of course in this case is Durthu. Lux Tricksters are still alive, and how much damage have they actually done here? 2,000 damage value. Not bad whatsoever, considering the amount of abuse they took from those Searing Dooms as they hop towards the Everwatcher once more, but decide, you know what, we're not going to be able to catch him, so let's fall back. However, though they are anti-large, Lux Tricksters are very, very squishy of only 15 armor. They do not like eating charges from knights, and bam, there you go. Doesn't matter if you brace, you're going to get flung to the ground because these guys are so much heavy mass right now. And I don't think any attacks basically got off there because they were just stuck on the ground. Looks like one knight gets trapped in here and does get dragged down by a load of angry war dancers there. But even more Chaos Knights are going to lance in, and that's really going to take quite a hit onto your leadership here. And I feel like the Eternal Guard and Lux Tricksters will be getting dealt with. Up in the high ground here, the Wild Riders once again catching out Chaos Warhounds. Been really impressed so far by Cat Morgan's Wild Rider play, despite being heavily outnumbered and heavily out-armoured by the enemy cavalry. He's got some really good engagements with them. Unfortunately, they do shatter. Looks like they're almost dead to the last man. Maybe one Wild Rider can make it back to Athaloran to work as a messenger to say, hey, you don't mess with the Warriors of Chaos. Look, they let one survivor go. He's the messenger today. Wardens, as well as Durthu and Branch Wraith, are now kind of forming up as a supreme team here on the high ground, and there's not that much which is going to be fantastic against them. The Everwatch, of course, does have Plague of Rust, which will help take some of them down. Lux Tricksters once again rally, a battle cry never too far from their lips, and they're going to be moving forward, trying to make the long march over to the remainder of the Wood Elf forces. Some of the Chaos Knights are being dispatched right now to deal with the Eternal Guard, who have formed a rather shaky shield wall here. I don't think this is going to go too well for you, lads, but I believe in you, and just as I say that, they actually turn tails and flee. Well, that's what my belief gets you, apparently, and yeah, these Chaos Knights not moving the fastest, but they are pretty ferocious, and should be able to chase off those units who have in fact already shattered. Chaos Knights trying to do some cycle charging down on the Wardens. Not a bad idea whatsoever. They've actually done some relatively decent damage to them, but Durthu's got a lot of mass. He's not going to be getting pinned over. He's going to be absorbing a lot of that charge, and each swing is cleaving Knights off their mounts. Look at that, triple kill, and then he buries the sword in a heart of another Chaos Warrior. It looks like a lot of the Chaos Knights are just struggling. Every time they get stuck in this engagement, the anti-large of the Wardens is really paying good dividends. And the Chaos Knights are actually being terrified by the Angry Trio. We do get an Earthblood. Now, that's not going to heal up Durthu, because I think he's already at his healing cap. But hey, all the healing you can get on the Wardens is good. And at the same time, I think he's probably got a load of Winter's Magic, because the Branch Wraith hasn't been able to be engaged in that much combat. Likewise, Durthu, and they've only got cheap spells on them today. Chaos Knights do an uphill charge. They're still going to be lancing and pulling down a lot of the Elves, but it's Durthu that is the problem. Each swing of the Sword of Daith is causing so many problems, even doing a little bit of friendly fire there, but the Wood Elves love it. as long as it means Chaos does die, and another unit has been broken. Balance power is relatively dead even. Now, the Manticore has a bucket ton of punch. The Everwatcher, though, is looking a little bit worse for wear and shaky. Be nice to see some Searing Dooms go down on the Wardens. We've seen some really good ones so far today by the Everwatcher, who's actually up to over 100 kills, being a real standout for the Warriors of Chaos so far. And he baits out Durf a little bit. He's trying to pull him away from his Wardens, but you can see Cat Morgan seems to know this, and he's just going to be moving all his forces in one big march. Now, the Chaos Manticore is going after the Branch Wraith, not a bad target whatsoever. Chaos Manticores tend to be very good character assassins. In comes the Everwatcher, in comes the Chaos Knights, trying to get a big fat surround and trying to break the hearts of the Elvish people. But the majority of the Knights are running for their lives, and it looks like we have a few Warhounds you need to get in here as well, and another unit of Chaos Knights who are returning. So maybe a bit of a premature attack by the Warriors of Chaos, because that Manticore has a Rampage, which is disastrous. Now, Standard Die does go down, Arcane Conduit as well. Warhounds are charging in. They need to be focusing down the Wardens realistically. Only 40 armor isn't great. They are rather squishy, as the majority of all Elvish kind is. It looks like we do have some debuffs going down. It is the Sword of Dave, so the second cast has been made active, lowering the armor and doing damage to all these troops. It's too much for the Chaos Warhounds. Manticore is rampaging and committed to this fight now. Everwatcher only 975 HP remaining. Chaos Knights are terrified, but they should come back, and we still have 38. Unfortunately, there's no Lance variety left. Cycle charging in the later stages of the game could be really nice. The Chaos Manticore knows when to bow out, though. Durthu is simply too powerful for such a petty creature. And the Wardens continue to fight, despite being very beat up here, down to 15 models, and still just about holding on. They do, of course, apply that Sunder in armor to Chaos Knights. You combine that with the Sword of Dave, and that's a big negative. Durthu's doing a decent job. He's just trying to chase away the Everwatcher. Branch Wraith's trying to get to grips with him, but a lovely pull in there of the Chaos Knights is going to force her back once more. And the Everwatcher is down to just 145 HP, trying to cycle charge and isolate the Branch Wraith, which is a decent target all round. Chaos Manticore unfortunately has Rampage, so he has no control of where that's going, but it's going after the right target. Try to force that Branch Wraith off, and it looks like Durthu does once again stand alone. The lone Ent in an empty forest. The Everwatcher, only 145 HP, means he basically cannot fight here. Just use him to chase off routing the troops and drop those Plague of Rust. So you can see Durthu's armor down to 80 right now. We do have Chaos Knights in here. The Everwatcher's going to risk a charge in. I think at this point it might be the best play, and you pray for RNG, because otherwise I don't think the Chaos Knights have enough punch, but it did not work. Down the beautiful duck goes, and Durthu is swinging his blade back and forth, and they're not actually taking down too many models, but I'm sure he's doing a load of HP damage. Looks like a fat flock of Doom's going to come in, and can the Knights bring down the Beast? It is oh no, I don't think it's going to be possible. Durthu's so healthy. That Chaos Manticore, though, is getting some really nice rear attacks in. Durthu needs to focus him down and get him off the battlefield, because he's one of the heaviest hitters left for the Warriors of Chaos, and you can see they did actually manage to drag him down pretty considerably. The armor sundering of the Plague of Rust was still active. Likewise, there's 3 Wardens returning to the battlefield, applying that negative armor to the Chaos Knights, lowering it to 90. Is pretty useful for Durthu, but he does pack a massive punch, and at the end of the day, armor can only do so much against a scary magical tree. It looks like the Wardens do fight to the death, and the Warriors of Chaos shall flee back to the wastes from whence they came. Well played to both these lads. It was a pretty wild game there between both the Warriors of Chaos and Wood Elves, and I love the full Cavalry themed build. I always have Rohan, my favourite faction in Lord of the Rings, so I love these like full Cavalry builds, and they certainly can be done a lot more effectively now that we have the Cav Beta. Are they going to be super meta? Probably not. I mean, there's a few matchups in this matchup, in particular from the Wood Elves' point of view, where you just bring a load of Glade Guard and a load of Wild Riders, and you just cycle charge your opponent to death with the Sisters, flying up in the skies and dishing out the damage. It is certainly very viable, but I think it's still going to be a bit more of a wild card. Hey, I'm going to go all in on Cavalry and try to surprise my opponent, and it certainly did surprise Cat Morgan. His force split in two. Definitely expecting more of a defensive Warriors of Chaos build, which isn't something that's very common, but against Wood Elves, I can certainly see the logic of, hey, he's probably going to bring Hell Cannons, and that's going to kill all my Glade Guard, so I need to shut it down as quickly as possible. But in the end, it did not matter, because Durthu is too strong. If Arcane was brought today instead of the Everwatcher, I think we would have been served a nice bark-baked cake of Durfu's face, because Archaon can really go toe-to-toe with someone like Durfu rather effectively. Well played to both these lads. We will go through the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up. Subscribe as well for more Total War Warhammer content into the future. And comment down below. What do you think of full cav builds? Do you enjoy them? Do you hate them? What would you like to see more of on the channel? And likewise, I'm considering doing some Age of Empires content. I know very little about the game, but it's coming out Thursday, so I was thinking of doing maybe a live stream there. The game's pretty expensive, so I want to see if people would actually enjoy watching that kind of stuff. I know the game's fan bases are very closely linked between Age of Empires and Total War Warhammer, so we'll have to see what you guys think of that. There are links down below as well in the description to my Patreon where you can support the channel. There's also links to my Discord where you can submit replays, links to my Twitch channel, loads of awesome stuff down there, so make sure to go check it out. Anyway, back to the battle. So the mighty Durfu, 76 kills, over 14k damage dealt, 3,343 damage value. Yeah, the beautiful tree did a bucket ton of work. Likewise the branch wraith, okay, only 2 kills and basically no value, but the Earthbloods were nice. The Earthbloods were nice. As for the Eternal Guard, 1,000 damage value and 323. This unit obviously fought in sustained combat for a bit more of a longer time, and probably the unit which is going after the Everwatcher. 240 from the Eternal Guard, 968 from this other unit, so a real mixed bag there between the low-tier infantry. The Wardens themselves got 1,218 damage value, and then 2,093 from the Loix Tricksters with their Azrai Spears with massive damage. Unfortunately, they weren't able to reunite with Durfu, otherwise they could have become an unstoppable force. Glade Guard, 250, 125, 245, and 220 damage value. Not one of them coming close to paying for themselves. And in the kind of meta of mass range builds and mass skirmish cav, maybe these full cav builds will become a little bit more seen. Wild Riders, 433 damage value and 469. As for Aimer, which is actually the clan name, I'm not sure who exactly this was. So I know some people play with just their clan names and stuff. The Everwatcher got 2,109 damage value. My god, that is a lot. 117 kills, 11k damage dealt. Really nice Serum Dooms all round. I was very impressed with the usage there of the Everduck itself. Chaos Pharaoh Manticore, 954 damage value, not too shabby whatsoever. And then we have the Chaos Knights, 1,500 damage value and 121 kills, 1,171 value and 1,284. Lovely work there by the basic Chaos Knights. As for the Lance variety, 1,442 and 133 kills. The other unit unfortunately got dragged down early on by those Loix Tricksters. 221 damage value. So the Knights did really good. The Warhounds, 420, 660, 100, 525, and 709 damage value. You can certainly see the ones which were able to hop on top of the Glade Guard and which ones were not. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, peace, peace. And as always, stay awesome.